Welcome to the video. I'm a little bit sick today, so pardon my voice. Today I'm drawing Siri. He's a Warforged Barbarian and part of a group commission. So he has to fit in with the rest of the characters and the composition, but not dealing with that today. Today I'm just rendering character on its own. For my group commissions, I usually draw them so that everybody in the group gets their character on its own, as well as the group image. Starting with the line work, obviously all the rough sketches are already done and approved. And I'll just do a very simple technique of lowering the opacity of the rough sketch and drawing a new line layer on top, tightening up all the details. Everything is in place, and I like the proportions and the placement of everything. So it's just time to zoom in and go nuts with detail. For shadowing, I don't know, it's just my style preference. It's not the correct way to do things, but I don't usually go right to black with all the shadows. I save the deepest black parts just for the line work. Just a style thing. Here I am. Oh yeah, I started this image by correcting the perspective on that dagger on his hip a little bit, and I keep fiddling with it and readjusting. I tried to make his armor plates look like beaten tin or iron with pock marks and I don't know what you call it, oxidization or verdigris or rust, and but they're trimmed with sort of like a root, I don't know, a wooden trim. A couple of little shrubberies grown out of them. I've sped up the video 15 times, just so you're aware. Apologize for the jarring image as I pan around, and I don't know if it's tough to watch at this speed. Let me know. I could slow things down, but didn't want to make the video too much longer than it already is. Let's see, I'm rendering some sort of claw marks on his chest. The description said he's had a previous encounter with a troll, so that's why he's got some battle damage. He's also got a scar on his neck, which I tried to be subtle with because, I don't know, it could end up looking pretty gnarly. Yeah, I just put the, you can see me a second ago drawing in the cast shadows, which I just put on a layer with lowered opacity. I was to keep the cast shadows separate so that it doesn't interfere with the line work if I have to adjust. I don't know, it's easier to edit, is what I'm trying to say. So I've done this technique a million times now, so if you've watched a bunch of my videos, you're well familiar, but I draw with two versions of the same brush. One has lowered opacity, which I do for the inside lines, and then I go over it with a very similar, same size brush that has like opacity set to 100 or whatever for the black outlines. Just the style I developed. I outline everything with a crisp outline. Started doing this when I started drawing a lot of commission characters, and my reasoning is that I want every part of the character to be clearly readable. You know, sometimes a composition might look better if I you know, blur some edges out or put some things in shadow, but as these are character commissions, you know, all the players, I assume, want to see their character in all its glory. You know, so I don't obscure anything or hide anything in deep shadow. But I do like to do that for my own work or other types of illustration. But yeah, for character commissions, it's all about the details, so that the player and hopefully enjoys, you know, poring over every little square inch of things. And my brain is not working at its full capacity right now. Apologize. Hopefully all my ramblings make sense. Here I'm rendering. He's got a belt of frost giant strength, and you'll see later on when I shade it in, I try to make it look like there's like bits of snow and ice in all the nooks and crannies, and pretty happy with the way that turned out in particular. Yeah, I always just draw like these hard cast shadows because I think it helps the readability of the character. Like, I'm barely even conscious of where the light sources in the image are. I just, you know, basically top down front. It's a very simple lighting scheme, or a non-existent lighting scheme. I just render it to look cool. And if there are obvious light sources in the image, you know, magic glowing weapons or whatever, I will try to account for that, but it's very, very simplistic lighting setup. And his feet are completely obscured by the character in front of him, but as I was saying earlier, this player is going to get a version of their character on their own, so I have to draw everything, even if it's hidden in the group image. But I'm not going to worry about sort of marrying his feet to the rough steps underneath him, because I don't know, for these single image of this character later on, I'll move him into the middle, so for a better composition, and then I'll make sure his feet are matching the ground. He's wielding a rod of lordly might, which, truth be told, I just grabbed an image off the internet and used that as my reference. Didn't redesign it. this is a rather large character compared to some, and every square inch is full of details, which is fun, but this is probably the most time-consuming character in this group. And he's got a little bird companion. Let me see if there's anything about that in the description. Nope, not. It's in a separate email that I'm not going to dig up right now, so I don't know much about it. Little mechanical bird buddy. Yeah, I use the black outline to separate shapes inside and out when they're major shapes that I think need definition, or there's a major overlap, like, you know, the bottom of his jaw. I'm sure I'll throw that in a second. There we go. It's can be a tricky part of the style, deciding which things get a deep black outline and which things don't, but part of the fun. Yeah, I tried to hint at some scratch marks on his neck. Could have went really gnarly with that, but decided to just, yeah, play it cool with that one. Just hint at it. Alright, line work is done. I use the magic wand tool to fill in the basic tone, and then I have to go around and clean it all up. Look for things I missed, or things that the magic wand tool didn't get accurate. And now I'm separating out all the inside fleshy, wooden, viney bits, just so that I can shade them independently of the exterior armor plates. I like to do this because it's a little bit of work at the beginning to cleanly define all these shapes, but then once I have them all on different layers and whatnot, I can go in quickly with big brushes and adjust the tones without coloring outside the lines, you know? It's just a lot of upfront work that pays off later. I have a big texture brush that I like to use, and I threw that on everywhere to weather and age all the metallic bits. I'm adding little highlights into the pock marks to make it look like, I don't know, pockets of rust and whatnot. Yeah, you can see I'm smudging out every mark I make. If you're doing a painting digital or not, like, you'll obviously need to think more about hard edges and soft edges, but on the image that like this, where all the line work is defining the shapes, I find hard edges in the shading, I have to use them sparingly because they distract from the line work. So most of the coloring, or the toning, is soft, if that makes sense. Now I'm blocking in the weapon. Don't know what color or shade I'll make it, but it's nice to get it on the layer so that I can tone it independently. Try to add some highlights where his glowing eyes might reflect off the metal shaft. Alright, I think we're getting close to the end here. Thanks for watching. Hopefully my ramblings made sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. Ooh, we still haven't done the belt of frost strength. That's probably my favorite part of this character. Alright, thanks again, and I'll see you next time.